Rise and shine, Chucketeers! Coming to you live on YouTube, it's time once again for the Cluckin Crew podcast! With your hosts, series creator and voice of Chucky Chicken, Michael Cook, lead director, storyboard artist, and compositor, Elias Levine, and art director, lead character designer, and lore keeper, Tino Calcaterra! Join us for animation news, behind-the-scenes info on the series, special guests, audience interactive events, and much more. And now, on with the show!
Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to the Cluckin Crew podcast, the official Chucky Chicken podcast. I am your host, the creator and voice of Chucky himself, Michael Cook. Here with me, as always, is my very good friend, my co-director, co-producer, co-writer, co-everything, but namely the head of storyboarding and compositing, Elias Levine.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
And right next to me here is our head of our official lore keeper, our lead character designer, and our art director, Tino Calcaterra.
Hello.
And we have a very, very special guest today. We are truly blessed and honored to have here with us. Excuse me. Just pardon me while I burp on live here. Here we go. Right at the intro. Darn it. We have the incomparable animator who's worked on projects like Cuphead, and of course the creator of Syrenka, the Warsaw Mermaid, the one and only Tina. Oh my gosh, Nawrocki. I got it. Tina Nawrocki. There we go. I got it. So, Tina, thank you so much for hanging out with us today.
Very happy to be here, and good job on the last name. It was quite close. You almost got it.
Oh, okay. How do I say it?
It's Nawrocki.
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 Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Nawrocki. All right. I make it a point to know how to say people's names. It's super important to me. Right, Levigne?
Yeah.
But anyway.
You know, that's not the worst I've had.
I know.
People always say Levine, and I'm like, there's a G before the N. How do you even get that?
Well, you know, they don't want to say Levigne, because like I did, because it sounds stupid. But, you know.
People don't even try with my surname.
Calcaterra. It's easy.
Yeah, apparently not for everyone.
Well, you know, what do they know? But anyway, and thank you, everybody, for tuning in and checking us out today. If this is your first time, we hope you have a good time with us. Please make sure that you hit that subscribe button, ring the little bell so you're notified every time that we go live. And obviously, you know, we have, I get to show some cool stuff here today. We actually have 3 ways that you can enjoy our show. You can watch it either right here on YouTube or on Twitch at twitch.tv/Chucky Chicken Cartoons, or on the Facebook at Chucky Chicken Cartoons /live. So there you go. Pick your poison, pick your pleasure, and you'll be supporting our show. We're pretty much on everything. Everything is down below if you want to go follow us. We're on X, Instagram, Twitter, the whole 9 yards. Yeah, and of course, if you would like to become a Chucketeer, you can follow us on our Discord, which is also linked down in the description. Now that I got all that fun stuff out of the way, how are you fellas doing? And how are you doing today, ma'am? I hope you guys are having a great day so far.
Pretty good. Yeah, I had some fun animations to do today, so I had a good day.
Ooh.
Oh, nice.
Very cool.
Well, doing pretty good. I'm no longer ill.
That is wonderful. That is a blessing.
Yeah.
Yes. Because last week you were dealing with COVID, or you were on the back end of COVID last week. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're better now. You have a
First
reason.
time chatter on Twitch. Adventure Bonnie. Hi, Chucky. Today is my birthday. Happy birthday!
Happy birthday! Very cool. Very sweet. Well, yeah, thank you so much. Here, let's see if we got something to celebrate for. Oh, here we go. Happy birthday!
I like that one.
I do too. A lot of fun. So what about you, Tina? How are you doing? How's your week going?
Pretty good. I took a few days off and visited my mom. It's been
Oh,
a pretty crazy summer, lots of work, lots of DIY projects around the house. So
yes.
I took 4 days just to do nothing, and it was glorious.
Oh, that's awesome. Very cool. Does your mom live nearby?
Yeah, so I'm for those of you who don't know, I'm in Ottawa, Canada, but I grew up in Montreal. My sister's still in Montreal, and my mom is just north of Montreal in a small place called Rawdon.
Ooh.
And it's like a little town, and she has a little house in the woods. It's super quiet, super dark, and walking distance from a lake where you can go swimming. So it's beautiful, idyllic, really.
Oh, that sounds heavenly. That's so
Sounds like a
wonderful.
dream.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what about you, Mr. Tino? How's your week going so far?
Full of work.
I know you've been working hard with me this week.
It be like that, you know?
I know we've been burning that midnight oil. Let me tell you. So,
Yeah, you're pulling what we used to do.
yeah. But you know what? He doesn't complain about it.
You just wait for my
I
turn
didn't
now. Just
complain
wait.
before. I did them, didn't I?
You did. You did. You really did. So, oh my gosh, we have a lot of fun. But anyway, so I know we normally do the news. However, I don't really have news today. I do have a very important announcement that I do want to mention because, as folks know, the animation industry is not doing too well nowadays, with AI talk and just the jobs drying up and studios not treating their animators fairly. It's been really difficult, um, and so the Animation Guild is going to be hosting a rally. That's not the right one. Hold on.
Happy birthday.
That's to whoever was celebrating their birthday earlier. Yeah, so they are going to be doing an animation rally in Burbank, California, 2520 West Olive Avenue at 5 p.m. this Saturday. If you're in the area, please go check them out. Please go support them. They need all the help that they can get. There's a lot on the line with this particular negotiation. So even if you're not in Burbank, show your support. Let folks know that you stand with animation and do your part for Toontown. That's all I got to say about that. So, but yeah, so it's pretty scary times out there for all our friends in the industry, for sure. But so yeah, show your support. But anyway, we have a very special guest here, and I as I was saying before we started the podcast, I have been really looking forward to hopefully one day chatting with you, and here you are. So, I'm sure the guys here have questions. I have a ton of questions. I'm sure our watchers have a lot of questions as well about just how you got in the industry. But let's start from the very beginning. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Tina, and how you got into animation, and spill the beans, spill the tea.
Sure. I mean, I'm an immigrant. That's, I guess, the first thing you need to know. I was born in communist Poland.
Wow.
Communism wasn't fun. Therefore, we decided to leave, and I was supposed to go to Australia, but Australia didn't want us, so I ended up in Canada.
Wow.
And that's the story of our immigration.
Mm-hmm.
I have an amazing older sister who is ridiculously perfect, almost like obnoxiously so. She is beautiful, she is social, she was good at everything. She speaks like, I don't know how many languages, I think like six. She's a historian, and she got accepted into Princeton University on a scholarship. Anyway, growing up with her was rough because she was perfect at everything. And the one thing I was better at doing than her was drawing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I kind of latched onto that quite a lot as a kid. And so I started taking art extremely seriously at age 8. And I was like, this is going to be what I'm going to do. This is my career. And so I started doing pastels, and then I started oil painting at age 12.
Wow.
I had my first solo exhibit in oil paints at age 14. I started portraiture, and I painted like the beer family, the Molson family. For the Canadians out there, you might know Molson beer. So I painted their family portrait. I worked in movies at age 16. I did backdrop painting for the Aviator movie with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Holy cow.
Ooh, very
Yeah, so
cool.
I just like I walked into that studio. I walked into that studio with my portfolio of paintings, and I was like, I want a job, and they're like, cool, and they didn't ask me how old I was, so I just like got in on that at 16.
That's Hollywood magic, baby.
We don't care how young you are, just paint, dang it! Give her watercolors, for God's sake.
Yeah, so that was fun. It was a great experience. And then I went to, and this is when we get into animation. I went for it's called CEGEP in Montreal. The Quebec education system is a bit different than the rest of Canada. So you have one less year of high school, and after high school, you go into like a college system that's almost like a bridge program between high school and university. But you have different avenues. So you can take a pre-university program, it's 2 years. So if you want to study history or sciences or anything like that, that's what you do. Or you are more kind of like, I just want to get into the workforce. So then there are programs for welding or for woodworking or for art. And I took one of those programs. It's 1 year more, it's 3 years. It's called a DEC, it's like a certificate. And it was called Illustration and Design. And I took that class. It had, mostly all types of illustration in it, but it had one teeny tiny little animation course. And I tried animation, and it was absolute love. I didn't realize that it combined two of my passions. As a kid, I also was a theater kid. I loved, being on the stage, making people laugh. It was something that I really wanted to do. But then I decided that, it's probably easier to get a job in art than as a theater actress. So, and then I found animation is both. It's acting with your drawings, and so it was love, and that's where it all started.
That is, you're like a modern day Richard Williams, because didn't he also start like with the fine art and then worked his way up to animation too? Like that's.
I think so. I think a lot of animators really were into fine art before they discovered animation. I know like Glenn Keane had a very traditional art background as well. Yeah.
Wow. That's so that is fantastic.
That's awesome.
I don't know what to say. I'm speechless.
It was funny too because because I was such a like serious kid, and I was like, I studied anatomy. My mom had to sign waivers for me to go to model drawing as like a 10-year-old, draw naked people. And they wouldn't let a kid in, but she's like, she really wants to do this. I'll sit in the back, as an approval. So my mom would sit and read books while I drew models.
That's so awesome
God
though
bless
that
your
she
mom.
did that for you. Yeah,
fantastic.
that is
She's
so
great.
cool.
She was like the most supportive, and that's what's fucked up because both my mom and my dad are scientists, and of course their degrees weren't recognized as immigrants. And my dad painted walls, and my mom took care of kids, even though he's a PhD in biology and she was a master's in biology.
Yeah.
And
You see
but
that
they
so
were.
much. It's so crazy.
Yeah.
I know it's just always the same stupid immigrant story, but there you have it. But yeah, they were just as supportive of my art as they were of my sister's, more intellectual pursuits of history and philosophy and everything she was into. So it was really lovely of them to be that like gung ho about about me drawing.
Yeah. Oh my God. I have to admit, as this may sound silly, but as a natural born citizen of the States, when you get to meet and hear people's story when they come over from different countries, for me personally, I am just so filled with awe, right? Because those are the true, because if you think about it, this whole country is built on immigrants and immigration, right? Like England, they immigrated over here, and all the other countries, and especially at the turn of last century, and everybody was building this nation that we have. And I don't know, I get all heartbroken sometimes when I hear that immigrants have such a hard time, and it's like, that's not even fair, because you are the true epitome of the American dream. Like, for God's, I mean, and you're not even in America, you're in Canada, for God's sake. So, like, like, you did it. So, I mean,
Canada's also a lot of immigrants, so you have the same
for sure.
story there.
Canada is a huge melting pot.
Yeah. So God bless you. That is absolutely fantastic. So, but no, and good on you for sticking with art like that. I love it when we hear stories of people whose parents were super supportive, because you don't normally get that, right? You normally get the
You don't. A lot of
Yeah.
like doctor, lawyer, or something in quotes successful.
Yeah.
My parents were a little bit wacky in a lot of sense. Like, they both have artistic penchants. Like, my dad would carve in wood. He would make hyper realistic birds and these like beautiful sculptures. And my mom studied photography for a bit when she came to Canada, and she took beautiful photos. And now she, at age 60, my mom's life is an absolute insanity. Like, she bounced off so many things. She was a biologist, and she, was a nanny, a cleaning lady.
Wow.
Then she did for 10 years she worked on home reno shows in the 90s. It was that like it was like a trend,
So
right?
cool.
Like, you surprise somebody and you change a room or something. So she
Yeah.
was on one of the really popular Canadian ones called Debbie Travis Painted House. She did that for a decade. And then, after that, she was an assistant to a Polish actress, like a personal assistant. And then suddenly, out of nowhere, she's like, "Now I write books." And now she writes books. Like, she's an author. So she's
Honestly,
crazy.
that is so awesome. I love that.
I adore that. I write books now. It's like,
It just goes to show that you
And,
really can just do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she and my
yeah.
dad went on their honeymoon to Mongolia in the 70s.
Oh, wow.
And nearly died like 5 times because not the best place to be a tourist.
Yeah. A little thing called Vietnam going on. So.
Yeah. So generally speaking, they were slightly crazy, but in a very good way. Very good crazy. Yeah.
We've had a lot of guests on this show, but I got to tell you, I've yet to have a guest that literally, like, I have to pick my jaw off the floor after hearing their story. That is just absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, and my mom was in the Polish Revolution in Solidarity. She was part of that when she was pregnant with my sister.
Oh, wow.
So she was like fighting the power, So I have an interesting family, and to me it's very normal. This is just how we lived. But a lot of people point out to me that not everybody has that many stories.
No, I don't know anybody who fought off the communists. Yeah. I mean, that is
my mom has worked for the CRA.
You're an American, Michael.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, all I can say is my great granddad fought Hitler. That's all I got. So.
Yeah, this is more recent history.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, well, holy cow, that is just. I had to pick the jaw off the floor again. So here we go. But
okay, I have a question.
Thank you.
Who would you say are like your biggest influences as far as animation goes? Like what artists do you think you learned the most from, and whose styles may have like leaked into your own?
Okay, so I have a very generic answer and then also a very personal one. So
we need both.
The generic answer, I'm obsessed with obviously 2D animation, if you haven't noticed that. I draw an animation. I was obsessed with paper. Maybe it's because I did so much traditional art growing up that I'm kind of I appreciate digital, I appreciate 3D, but it wasn't for me at all. I couldn't do the 3D thing. I need to be able to control the drawing myself. And I kind of had this meltdown saying that, I missed the boat. I was born 10 years too late because Disney had just closed down its 2D department, and, everybody was obsessed with Pixar, and I was being told over and over again by every teacher that, 2D's dead, you shouldn't be doing it. And I ignored everybody because I'm either stupid or very, you know, very set in my ways that this is what I wanted to do and this is what I was passionate about. So to answer your kind of inspiration question, obviously Milt Kahl. I just love that one era of Disney animation where it was the Xerox era, Jungle Book and
Yeah.
Sword in the Stone, Shere Khan, like the Milt Kahl animations from that time in the old Disney, the 40s era basically. Which is funny because you'd think that because of Cuphead, the 1930s would be my favorite era of animation, but it's not. I really like the 40s, in Western animation anyway. So Milt Kahl is definitely, the one kind of star of animation history that I absolutely adore. But then on the personal level, of like what influenced me personally in my journey for 2D animation, I will have to say Samantha Youssef. I don't know if you've ever heard of her.
No.
She's an incredible animator. She's Canadian, and she became one of my most amazing mentors. She has a school called Studio Technique, and it's an online school that she runs herself. She was there at the very tail end of 2D at Disney, so she got to do the last, movies that they had there. So she did, Princess and the Frog and a few of those before they just shut everything down. And she didn't want the knowledge that she gained from everybody's studio to die. And she decided to open her own school and wrote an amazing book called Movement and Form, which changed my life. And I took every class that she offered, every single class. And she is also like this insanely sweet, gorgeous woman, like just a beautiful person inside and out. And she lived in Montreal at the same time I was in Montreal. And my sister, like, I was just gushing about, like, I had such a, like, professional crush on her. I was like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. She's everything I want to be. And my sister's like, well, aggressively befriend her. And I'm like, yes. So I aggressively befriended her. I was like, I will make you my friend whether you want this or not. And she was very lovely. And so now I really do count her among my friends. But I learned more from her in like just a few years when I did, struggling at different schools, and I don't have any degrees. I finished that little like CJEP course, but then I took night classes at Concordia University, never finished that. I went to Sheridan College, never finished that. But I will have to say the person I learned most from is Samantha Youssef. So check out Studio Technique. I will, advertise her and her book Movement and Form.
Yeah.
Because they are life-changing for animators. They're amazing.
It's
100%.
It's on Amazon. It's for $150, so that's not bad. Like that's
no, and it changes your life. Do it. So the book itself is about drawing, from life and how to approach life drawing, but as an animator. Because a lot of the times when you have life drawing courses in college or at school or wherever, it's taught by fine artists, and they are drawing a specific way for fine art, which is not the way we should be drawing for animation. We should think about movement differently. Right. And so this is a book tailor-made for animators, and it's absolutely beautiful, and you should all own it.
Yeah, I remember when I went to school at VFS just because that's what appealed to me. And in their classical animation course, when we did life drawing, our teacher specifically was talking about that, how like in life drawing, when you're talking about animation, you really need to focus more on the gesture and the volumetricness of it all, rather than like being... You have to know the anatomy, of course, and getting the proportions right, but it's really all about the gesture and the expression of like the pose.
And
and like shading, we don't need that. Like honestly, light, nobody cares right now. Like this is not the important thing. Like
we'll add that in post. We'll add that in post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a compositing job. We're focused on the movement. It's... I also dealt with that exact same thing that you did, Tina, when I was in school. I went to the Art Institute in Schaumburg, and, I got in 2007, and it was just around that time that Disney shut its doors for the first time. And it was heartbreaking because everyone was like, give up 2D, Nobody wants it. You know, it's focus on 3D. And there were a couple of us that really bucked that trend. One of them that I can, that I remember very well, Gene Goldstein. He went to the same school that I did. He's now the head of Jellybox Studio. He's doing his own show, No XP. He did Planet Panic for Nickelodeon. Amazing guy. He is the he's the front man for a punk metal band, which is pretty insane. But he was one of those guys who bucked the trend of 3D and just stuck with 2D. And he was one of my inspirations too. And everything that you said, I totally relate to, because that's exactly how I felt when I was in college. I was like, no, I need to learn how to animate on paper. I need to learn how to keep this thing alive, because it is art. It is magic. It is something that is, so many.
So
Go ahead.
I had another reason, like another excuse to keep doing it. And I think for anybody who's starting out, learning 2D, like hand-drawn, frame-by-frame 2D animation is so important. Because to me, it's the hardest type of animation. Like, not only do you need to have amazing timing, acting, spacing, all that kind of stuff, and like, put personality into the character, but you also have to draw super well.
Yeah.
You have to keep the proportions, you have to keep the model, you have to know anatomy, you have to know all these things. And my excuse was like, if I learn classical 2D, the worst that can happen is I'll be an amazing animator.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. And,
because it's the hardest, to me, it's the hardest type of animation. Because you have to have all these skills on top of the movement and the acting skills.
Yeah.
And you need to be very precise, because you don't have Control Z there to,
No, yeah, you have to know what you're doing almost.
Yeah.
You
have to be very
budget.
It's like you have to be, when you're like with the rough animation, for example, you have to be nice and loose and gestural, but you also have to be very mindful, and you have to keep in your mind, like, oh, how is this moving? What is the physics of this happening? Like,
right. You need to know all that stuff. And it's so funny, because even here on our show with Chucky, like I've had to go back and be like, doesn't work, like the acting's not there, or this doesn't work, it looks funky, or look at the hands, watch the hands, or look at the beak. And it's both science and art, and that's pretty much all I got. It's insane. I don't know what I'm saying anymore.
So sticking to your guns sometimes pays off. So I worked in the gaming industry for 8 years in Montreal before I quit, because they were promoting me too much. They were promoting me in a stupid way, in the sense that I was drawing less and less. I was writing Excel sheets, meeting clients, training juniors. One of those. And then I got so angry that I tried to flip a table, but it didn't work, because the tables were like kind of rooted to the ground. So anyway, I quit. And I went back to school as a mature student to Sheridan College. And the year I went to Sheridan College, which is in close to Toronto in Oakville, it's one of a really good school here in Canada. They got rid of all the traditional animation desks and replaced them all with Cintiqs. And I was like, what? I was so angry. And they left one or two at the back, as a little token. And I basically taped my name to one of them. And I was like, this is mine. And I did every single exercise, every single assignment on paper, regardless of what they wanted. I was so adamant that I'm taking time off work to pursue something that I love. And so I'm gonna do it my way and do everything traditionally. And then, of course, after 2 years, I quit, mostly because it's really expensive, and also 4 years is way too long. So 2 years of that, I quit Sheridan, and I was putting my little animations, the paper tests, on a blog, because I was told to do that by somebody. I had no social media presence for a really long time. So I was just putting them on a little blog. And then I think Chad Moldenhauer from Studio MDHR found said blog, and was like, oh my God, you animate on paper. Would you like a job here on Cuphead? And I said, yes. And that was it.
That's so cool.
That's awesome.
What was that whole experience like, working on Cuphead? I mean, because we see the behind the scenes stuff all the time, and yeah, what was that like? I got a story that I got to share with you, but tell me yours. Like, what was it like animating on paper again, and like reusing all of these traditional techniques, like especially with the Dragon Boss, like with the 3D stereoscopic, and just the watercolor backgrounds and the jazz, like the actual, jazz band. And like, what was that all like for you?
Well, it was one of those. I don't know if you've ever read The Illusion of Life by Frank and Ollie,
I own the
and they
book.
talk
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
they talk about early days at Disney when it's kind of like a ragtag team with a dream, and there's like everybody's kind of on this high of creativity, and it's just magical. That was basically the kind of the original game how it was for me, because I was at Sheridan. I was talking to one of my 2D animation professors, Blair Kitchen. May he rest in peace. Unfortunately, he passed away. He passed away while we were working together, which was really sad.
Oh,
We worked together on Green Eggs and Ham. Was my
Oh
animation
yeah.
director.
oh,
So he died pretty young, but he was my professor, and because I was a mature student, I was like over a decade older than all the other students. I would just hang out with the professors because I had nothing in common with these kids. I tried to like, talk to them, and then they would say stuff, and I'm like, oh honey, oh sweet summer child, and like, and I couldn't relate. So I would just have coffee with professors in their offices and like chat about the industry. And so I was talking to Blair, and one of my biggest kind of grievances to him was like, I miss it. Like nobody will hire me to do animation on paper again. Even if I get a 2D gig, it's going to be on a Cintiq. I won't have that magic of doing, a project on paper. And he was like trying to make me feel better. He's like, oh, never say never. And then there's like, there's storyboarding and other stuff, and you can do a personal project, yada yada. And then Cuphead happened, and it was an entire project and drawn on paper. And so to me, it was the impossible dream come true. It was, and for every other animator that was hired, it was the same kind of feeling. Like they really wanted to animate traditionally, and we all were on this same kind of mission to recreate an era, to do it justice. Like the research that we all poured into it for very little money, because there was not a lot of funds when Cuphead was being made, so we weren't paid well, but we were all super super passionate about it. And I think everybody can feel it in the final product. Like you can
Yeah.
feel how excited and
100%.
how fucking pumped we were about it, and like, and that we knew that this is special. And we didn't know it was going to be a success. We all really loved the project, and I told myself, you know what, even if only 10 people play this, this is the project that I'm proud of. It's finally, after working in the industry for over a decade, I didn't have a single project that I was really proud of, and this was it. I was like, this is the one. This is what I'm so happy to put my name to, and that we all believed in. And it turns out people agreed, and it was quite a surprise. So there you go.
I've told this story once, and I'm a little embarrassed to tell you this, but I'll tell the story again. Cuphead almost made me quit. I'll tell you why, because Chucky Chicken came around in 2007, and his first cartoon came out in 2009. And in 2015, no, I graduated college in 2012, and a buddy of mine showed me, hey, did you hear about this epic new game called Cuphead? And I'm like, no, what the hell is Cuphead? And he showed it to me, and I just got so angry. I was like, they're doing what I want to do. What is going on here? This is insane. I'm so mad. I almost gave up. But thankfully, I had friends kind of talk me off that proverbial building and go, it's a video game. Like you're doing something completely different. Stick around with it. And thank God I did, because, you guys truly made it possible for shows like ours to succeed. You were the
I feel it's like such a pop culture phenomenon, which will be studied in later years, about how one little indie game like brought back a style into the mainstream that was like almost forgotten and only very niche. Only very few people knew or enjoyed that retro 30s early, Western animation style. And And because of Cuphead, suddenly like the children like were super excited about it, and it had so many levels of nostalgia. You know, like we were kind of aware of Betty Boop and Popeye and all that stuff on TV, but the generation before us is what they grew up with, and you know, and then for the young generation, it was fresh and new and hip, you know, like which is so funny. So it had so many levels of appeal, and because of it, I'm so like thrilled that the popularity of this style has kind of resurged, and there's so many different games and TV shows and people exploring it and giving it new life, and I think that's great.
We kind of call it like nostalgia.
Yeah. That's exactly what we call it, nostalgia. It's nostalgic, but it's new. Nostalgia.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, nice. I like it.
You can take it if you'd like.
Sorry, I don't want to interrupt, but I have to say that more people should just like put their foot down and doing like 2D animation, like the traditional way. I think mostly because this is the rule of the world. If you're enough of a nuisance, people will say, like, all right, do whatever you want.
Yeah, true.
People just like, the world just molds around you because you don't want to move.
It's true.
Yeah. You know, it's always, you know, it's kind of from the people, right? From the ground up.
Yeah.
Sometimes we get depressed that, like, what can we do as one person to change the world? And you can get really depressed. But honestly, I remember I was talking with my sister, who's a lot smarter than me. And this was at the time of, you know, Black Lives Matter and just the world going to hell and COVID. And I'm sure we all had existential crises during that time.
Oh, good Lord, did we?
And so I was talking to her because she's a lot smarter than me. And she was saying, listen, you can't think that way. You have to be an agent for positive change within the sphere that you affect. So it could be a really tiny sphere. It can only be your friends, your family, you know, the people that you're you know, seeing every day. And if you are a catalyst for positive change in those spheres, then you're doing your job. And if we all do that, then it becomes big change. And I think that was the message. And it's not about, you know, just keeping a style alive. It's about values as well. Like, to me, having worked in video games for nearly 20 years is the lack of diversity there was at the beginning. You know, it was all the same straight white guy, you know, just copy pasted 47 times. And that was a gaming studio. And then there would be me, the only woman. And it's, you know, and there was very few people of color, if any, you know, in these studios. And to me, that's just unacceptable, because I feel we need to tell diverse stories from, you know, all different types of backgrounds. And this is one of the reasons for my own short film, I'm only hiring women and people who are gender nonconforming, because I'm like, I have heard the male stories a lot. They have a huge platform, you know, that's fine. And so now I want to tell a different story, and I want to tell it my way, and I want to give people who don't get a voice as much a voice. And, you know, when I go to a new studio nowadays, because now I'm a bit of a rock star, if I only see straight white men in the studio, I'm like, you know, qu'est-ce que fuck? Like, what's going on? Why is this like this? And I ask them the hard questions. Where are the women? Where's the diversity? What's going on? And I tell them straight up sometimes, like, if you don't change this, I'm not working for you.
Well, I'll just rip up my application then, because I can't.
I don't think our team counts.
I know.
Based on me and Tino being your two top dogs, I think we're fine.
Yeah. So, I do pride myself. Well, the way that I see it, it doesn't matter who you are, what you believe in, and all that stuff. As long as you're a good person, you make me laugh hysterically, and you're good at what you do, you know, and you love the project that we're working on, you have a seat at the table, right? Like, I think that's...
But the problem is, though, when you only think that way, is that the people who have, you know, usually the biggest chances in life get seen the most easily. So if you like, in our culture, for example, men are funnier than women just because they are. And if, you know, they had all these opportunities and had all these doors open to them and all this training, etc., it gets seen a lot more easily. So unless you open your eyes to the fact that there are minority groups that don't get those chances, that deserve more visibility and like take a stand to be like, hey, you know, let's not only choose the best in quote person for the job, but also look around for the people who might be overlooked and
Right.
don't get those chances as much.
Oh
And if
yeah.
you don't do that aggressively, you can fall into the trap of just, again, like, oh, just the best person, and it becomes the same person, the same type of person, just because we've had all this privilege
Mm-hmm.
throughout the years,
It's
right?
slippery.
Yeah.
Slippery,
Yeah.
yeah. So I feel sometimes you just have to like make a push to widen the search, widen the net, and keep your eyes open for talent where sometimes like people wouldn't get those same opportunities.
I
You know
100%
what? I
agree.
mean, I totally agree, and I think that we do strive to do that here. Because I mean, that's kind of what happened with me. Like the only reason why I'm even here, I've been here for like God, how many years has it been now?
4.
Like 4,
Yeah.
yeah. Um, I only know
A
Mike because
lifetime.
we have a mutual friend, and she like introduced us. And so Mike took a chance on me and was just like, "Yeah, you know what? Like, we'll try it out." And now I'm co everything.
Yeah. Well, you guys take
So
a
there's
yeah. Well, you guys take a chance on me too. Like, I mean,
yeah.
it's not. It's very hard to defend the new, even the nostalgic, right? Um,
Mm.
because you don't know what's going to happen, especially in our industry. Animation is such a crapshoot. You
Oh
don't.
yeah, it's so fickle.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
crazy.
you
Yeah.
know. And thankfully, I've been very blessed to have a character that people just. I mean, I speak for what I've only heard. Tina, you can completely disagree if you don't like Chucky Chicken. I mean, I think he's cute, but people really, they seem to be drawn to him. No pun intended. And he's not foul. And he's not vulgar. So I had to. I'm sorry. But
No harm, no foul.
what was that?
No harm, no foul.
Oh no, okay. You get one too.
We do like our pounds here.
Yes, them's the yolks, folks. Okay, I'm done. Sorry, I don't mean that. Poor Tina is just sitting there going, "All right, what did I sign up for here? What is happening?" But no, I'm very blessed to have these amazing folks helping me, and we do have a very diverse group of folk. Like we have guys in England and Australia and Argentina and the Netherlands and all over the states, and we have even folks in Singapore and from all different walks of life and all different backgrounds. And it it's so I'll tell you this really cute story if you don't mind. We were working on our first big short called Grim Grinning Giblets, right? And it was our tribute to the Haunted Mansion. This was back in 2019. We wanted to do it for the 50th anniversary of the attraction, right? And our background gal at the time, her name is Imka von Galen. I went to her and I said, Imka, I want you to look at the Haunted Mansion at Disneyland for inspiration for the exterior of the mansion. Because inside, obviously, we're going to be paying nod and homage to the attraction, but we got to get the outside right, too. So I want you to look at the mansion, take notes and come up with something based off of that. She says, okay. A week or two goes by and she says, oh, Mike, I have the design for the mansion. I'm like, okay, cool. Let me see it. And I'm thinking I'm going to be seeing like barnyard versions of antebellum mansions, the white pillars, the cupola at the top, but instead I'm looking at this Western dilapidated 3-story like rundown mansion. Not at all what I was thinking. I'm like, did you look at Disneyland like I asked you to? She said, yes, I did. This is what's at Disneyland. And I'm like, okay, can I see your references for a second? And she did. And as soon as I saw the references, I doubled over in hysterics. She did indeed look at Disneyland, but it was Disneyland Paris. She looked at Phantom Manor, which was exactly what she had referenced in her design for Grace and Manor. And I laughed hysterically. And she says, do you want me to go back and redo it? I said, absolutely not. This is perfect because it's all of the haunted mansions, both domestic and international. And it just kind of went to prove what I think of the haunted mansion. Somebody else around the world has a completely different picture and a completely different idea. And her mansion is what we ended up using in the short. And it worked so perfectly. And I just adore that story because it is one of those things where it's like you taking all the different walks of life into account and all the different perspectives and thoughts and everything. It's, and I just love it. So I just had to share that little story.
Isn't it great that we can have international teams like that nowadays? Like, I think that's a wonderful thing
Mhm.
about the time that we are in animation, that, studios can be so all over the world. And currently both gaming studios that I work for have employees all around, like exactly the Virgin Islands and Mexico and Canada and
Yeah.
Poland and it's wonderful. Like one of my VFX animators is in Ukraine, and it's so nice that we can all meet online and be creative together and work on projects together and support each other and still
Yeah.
be in all these places all around the world.
It's
So
such a
this
cool
is a
thing.
really exciting time to be alive. So I do bemoan the fact that I missed, the heyday of 2D Western animation. But
Yeah.
on the flip side, we get to experience this amazing kind of global team building experience where we can make amazing stuff with people
Yeah.
that are super awesome.
And
And
we'll be here for the next 2D Renaissance.
yes, we will.
Yes,
We'll be leading it,
we
Exactly.
So it's very amazing. As much of hellhole that is social media today, but it's fun to like always find people in social media like have their blogs and stuff, and you can see all the things they can do. It's amazing like just how much people you can find.
Yeah. And truth be told, Tina, I agree that animation done traditionally is so important. As a matter of fact, we also do animation on paper with Chucky Chicken as well. That's like how important it is. Like not the whole thing, but
Yeah.
we do have sequences and we have artists who have asked like, oh, thank you. We've had like, Mike, can I animate this on paper? And I go, sure. I animated a shot on paper or two. So, I mean, I think it's so important to keep it alive. And people, I don't know what it is. I know exactly what it is. It's a magic trick. People love seeing the drawings come to life, and there is no greater high than flipping the frames on paper and feeling the pages turning in your fingers and just watching the character come to life through graphite.
Yeah.
It's so
I mean, I think it has
And
magic on
yeah,
so many levels because to me, one of the reasons I think Cuphead was so popular is that like the truly, because it was hand drawn on paper and then inked on paper by hand as well, is that
Mhm.
humans can very easily pick up on that human factor.
mm-hmm.
That's why
Yeah.
Uncanny Valley is so crazy, right? That like you could have this hyper realistic 3D render of a human, and people will pick up right away that it's not real. They'll just feel like icky. They'll be like, oh, there's something wrong with
Yeah.
it,
Yeah,
because it's not human. And so having the mistakes, oddly enough, because there's no software fixing your line, there's no computer making it smoother. It's all there, all those human mistakes. It makes it a lot warmer and like it has a fuzzy feeling because it's so natural and so us. And I think that's why people love it. I love
yeah.
doing it and I love watching it. I think that's why I do.
Oh, well, God bless you, Tina. Like honestly, like it is folks like you that keep this crazy thing alive, and you know, you, you need to be celebrated, and you know, honestly, I mean, but that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on our show because first of all, I can't wait to share with you what we're doing over here, but just to hear your story and get to know you, and not only that, but you're working on a heck of a project that just got successfully funded. Um,
Aw,
Yeah.
Syrenka or Syrenka. All right, go ahead. I'm saying it wrong. Go ahead.
Syrenka. Syrenka. Yeah, you got it.
Oh, I did. Okay. So tell us, how did that story? Is it based off an actual myth in Poland, or how does that? How does like?
Yes, it is. So as I said before, I'm Polish. I grew up in Montreal, but I was born in Poland. I have a very strong connection still, though, with my family back there. I
Mhm.
read and write and speak Polish, and I was brought up in like a culture of, the great works of art from Poland, the great novels. We like read a lot of, Polish literature. So it's definitely kind of in my blood, and I try and go back every year or every second year. And the Warsaw Mermaid, I always loved her because she's so kind of badass. Like, not only is she the emblem of a city, but is this like woman carrying a shield and a sword. And I was a huge tomboy growing up, so not only did I really like art, but I was really into horseback riding and archery off of horseback and sword fighting. And I did like these battle reenactments. And anyway, so I really loved armor and
Yeah.
fighting a lot. And only in my early 20s did I discover dresses and became really girly for some reason. It's funny, like I was
Yeah.
completely just like pants and large t-shirts for most of my teenage years and childhood. Yeah, so I was like a little warrior girl, and I really loved that, and I love that here's a woman who's this powerful warrior, the Warsaw Mermaid. So I always was aware of her because most of my family is now in Warsaw, and my father lives there,
Hmm.
and so every time I go visit, I always go see the statue, and I always loved it. Actual legend itself is a little bit boring. It's not one of those, like, I think this is why it never got adapted into anything because it's not super exciting. It's very
Hmm.
straightforward. So the classic legend, and I Googled it to see if there's like more exciting versions of it, but no, it's
Oh.
very straightforward. And then I was told a different version of a legend growing up by, I guess, like, my aunts or somebody. Because I asked my sister, did I dream this or did somebody actually tell me this version? And she's like, no, no, I remember this version as well, which was a lot more interesting. So at least it had like deeper character motivations, and there was like, it was a lot darker as well. It wasn't so straightforward.
Ooh.
And so I kind of used this family retelling, this oral retelling, to make my own version, which is slightly different again. So I'm using it as a kind of springboard. I'm using it as a
Yeah.
starting point, and then I'm telling my own story from that.
That's so cool.
That is awesome.
Holy cow. And like the design of the mermaid is just stellar. I mean,
Oh, thank you.
there are not enough adjectives to properly. it's it's enchanting. It's
Well,
truly,
so
yeah.
thank you. So I'm super excited to tell you about that because I'm glad you asked about her design. One of the things that I'm really excited about, because I've been thinking about this film. I'm sure we all have like a pet project that we think about for years
Mm-hmm.
and never do, and we need friends to push us to actually do it one day.
Yeah.
And this one I was thinking since my early 20s I want to do it, and now I'm my late 30s. So it's been over a decade kind of marinating in my brain. And if I would have started it though when I was 20, I feel I would have tried to do everything myself. I would
Right.
have burnt out. I would have done the character designs, the backgrounds, the layouts, like I would have everything but the music because I'm horrible at music. I would have probably done myself. And it would have been fine and I would have burnt out, but it would have been okay. And now as I got older, I was like, no, I want to work as part of a team. I
Hmm.
want many, many voices. I want different people to have input to show me something that I would have probably not come up with, but that's exciting. And you were talking a little bit about that, about, the haunted mansion,
Yeah.
getting a different perspective. And
Yeah.
so the design of the mermaid is actually by Yasmin Kairouche. She's from Morocco. She's super young
Oh.
and super talented. Oh my God, this woman is so young and her drawings are so incredible. And she was struggling to find work because she decided to do a career change. Her parents wanted her to study something, I think like architecture, but she really
Oh.
wanted to be a character designer and an illustrator.
Hmm.
And on a Discord that I'm part of, animation Discord, somebody was like, somebody hire my friend or find her a job because she's amazing. And so I looked at her work and I died because it was so good. And
Wow.
so I was like, listen, I'm not a studio, but I need, these character designs for my film. Would you like to work with me on it? And she said, absolutely. So she designed all the original character designs for the film. She did the mermaid, she did the fisherman,
Wow.
she did the other female characters, Kinga and Mila, and she is absolutely wonderful. And I wish her all the best, and I hope that she has an amazing, shining career ahead of her. So yeah,
That applause, applause, applause. That's so cool.
Yes.
That's all I can do at this point is just applaud.
yeah, she's so great. I love
Oh.
her. And yeah, and then of course when I redraw the characters, I slightly change them because I'm doing it in my own style.
Right.
But all those kind of design elements, it was, a collaboration between her and me. I wanted certain things to be very Polish, and so she really delivered. It was great. Yeah, it was really great.
Oh, I love that. Well, you got to show us some of these. We got to see some of these, and I think if with your permission, of course, I'd love to be able to share this with not just the boys here, but also the guys, everybody watching the stream too, if that's okay. So
Absolutely. I mean, we have all the social media, Syrenka Film on everything. I also recently joined Kara. I don't know if you all joined the Kara Brigade, but CARA.
Tara.
So that is a beautiful platform, and I'm trying to support them as much as possible because, growing pains. But
Yes.
Syrenka Film has a Kara, and you can see all of Yasmin's beautiful concept art there. I'm sharing some pencil tests. We're currently working on a trailer, which is super exciting.
That is
So
fun.
I'm trying to find the time between contracts. I'm working on, let's see, 1, 2, 3 games at the moment, 3 gaming contracts, but also trying to find the time to work on my own. Oh, yay! People are on Kara too. Hello, find me there. If you like
Yes.
Cuphead, on Kara, I am posting all of my Cuphead work chronologically, like level by level, religiously every day. I post a few new animations. So find me, Tina Nawrocki art on Kara, and then find Syrenka Film, Syrenka SYRENKA film on Kara, and I'll be
Yes.
posting all the stuff on there. Yeah, so we're working on a trailer, and it's really exciting. So we're actually kind of focusing. I was animating chronologically a little bit beforehand, but now we're focusing on money shots, like on the really meaty, cool ones that we want to go into the trailer.
You don't
And
say.
all the layouts are done, and things are moving ahead. It's just I wish I had more time for it. That's the problem because we did get funded. Here's the thing: it's really expensive to make a film. We did get funded, but that money will be like barely enough to pay for, I think, most of the other things like backgrounds and maybe some of the cleanup. But I think
Really?
all the animation right now I have to do for free. We are hiring a few animators. I like put aside a small budget to hire a few animators to do some other shots, but I can't pay myself, so I still have to work full time on my gaming contracts, and
Yeah.
so it's slow going. You always wish you had more time for it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
maybe we'll get another grant. We've been applying to a bunch of grants to try and get more funding. Maybe we will do another small little crowdfunding campaign just to top up the budget. But it's gonna happen one way or another. We're gonna make it happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, we're in the same boat. We're all volunteers working on this pilot for Chucky Chicken, but I mean, if you ever need help, like, we will help you in any way that we can, spread the word.
Aww.
Yeah, oh my God, you kidding? We indie folk, we got to stick together. Absolutely, right, fellas?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. I think that's what's
100%.
beautiful too when we're talking about like community and like sticking to our guns and supporting 2D animation. I've seen so many cool indie 2D projects come out recently.
Yeah.
There was the like, oh, what was it, like the roller derby meets Sailor Moon kind of short. I forget, like, oh,
Yes!
it's on the name, but it was so cool. And then there was one about like an Olympic racer and how she's dealing with grief. And then there was another one that was a horror film, and it's just like all 2D hand-drawn, beautiful animated shorts. And so because, the big industry giants are not making this, we are, damn it, making it ourselves. Like the small little independents are keeping 2D animation alive. And every time I see a 2D film, I first of all throw money at it, and then I share it everywhere, and I keep sharing it until it's funded because it's so important, right? Like we have to stick together.
Right arm. Absolutely. Oh my God. Tina, you are a delight. Where have you been?
Thank you.
We've been, oh gosh, we've needed,
I've
like,
been around. I've been around for a long time.
oh my goodness. Oh. I literally am speechless. I don't know what the heck is wrong with me. I'm normally not speechless. This is insanity right now. I just, anyway, I'm a dope. What can I say? Yes, we will be absolutely helping in any way that we can support Syrenka and, of course, you and all of your valiant efforts. And you just are. Well, one of you other fellows, please help me here because I'm making a fool out of myself here.
Um, yeah, I mean, this has been an awesome time.
Yeah.
I'm trying to also
Yeah.
think of more things to say.
Well,
Well, it's been a pleasure. And definitely keep, I will keep tabs on what you all are up to and keep
Yeah.
tabs on what I'm doing.
Yeah.
For everybody listening, please follow me on all the things.
Yeah.
Support indie 2D animation. Get Samantha Yusuf's book,
Yes.
and go out there and learn some stuff. And the other thing is, like, I want to end on the fact that it is depressing times for animation, and I try and not let that get to me because I think for me, human art will never go away. Like, we have stories to tell, we have emotions, we have experiences. It's not just about a pretty drawing. It's about what you personally put into a drawing.
Yes.
Even if it's lighthearted and cartoony and funny, it's your experience that's going into it. And I don't think we will ever get sick of that. Like, we will get sick of generic AI art.
Yeah.
We will not get sick of creative, amazing people doing what they love. So be like me, be stubborn as hell. And when people tell you, oh, that's dead, don't do it, don't be an artist, don't draw, don't animate, don't draw by, don't do 2D animation, just ignore them.
Yeah.
Do what you love.
Tell them to take a
Make
long
art.
walk up a short pier.
Yeah, make art. Make
art,
art
Steven.
and ignore everything else. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Oh my
And
god.
then support each other.
Yes.
Uplift each other, uplift the community, right? Like, don't tear people down, just keep uplifting.
You took the words right out of my face hole. What can I say? Well, Tina, please stick around with us after the podcast as well. I think this is great. Like, we're just gonna wrap it up here today. It's short and sweet, right? Before we do go, I do want to remind folks to please go and support not only us but Tina on all of the social media. We will have links to everything in the description. And with all that being said, folks, thank you so much for all of your amazing support. Thank you for everything that you've done for us. And yeah, I think that's it for today. So with all that being said, so what we do, Tina, to end out each show is, we say our names, and then I close it out. So for the Cluckin Crew, I'm Mike Cook.
I'm Elias.
Chino here.
And I'm Tina.
And thanks for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.